Hey everyone, JC Cool here, and welcome to another live stream of me doing stuff. So we're once again back doing programming stuff with the Minecraft Server Management Protocol. Since the last stream, there have been some changes. I can talk today. I can really talk today. So, here in front of me, here, I'm just going to charge my phone at the moment. Okay, so, here in front of me we have the Minecraft snapshot article where they describe all these changes here. So first of all, there's now authentication added to this. Quite frankly, I don't know why they didn't necessarily have authentication before, but they've added something for that. This authentication is basically, there's a quote secret. It's, well, I guess a token of sorts. It's just specified in server.properties. You can make it whatever you want. It will automatically be generated though. They also now have support for TLS encryption. That is SSL or SSL encryption. TLS, SSL, same thing. So you can generate your own, or if you have a domain, use an SSL certificate you have for that. They got a bunch of stuff here about how you can supply that information, enable it, disable it, whatever. The biggest thing with this to keep in note is that if you use a self-signed certificate, third-party software or just general software might not like the fact that you have a self-signed certificate, as they're expecting something signed by a trusted authority instead of by yourself. You may need to set up software to just trust any certificate, because the point of this isn't trusting that the server is who they say it is. The point of this is, in fact, security. You know, encrypting your messages. But if you're doing what I'm almost certainly doing, which is just inside the same computer communication between a program and Minecraft server, it is it's not really necessary. It's more processing power and more effort to set up, and might just not work. Also, mind you, if your certificate expires and then is refreshed, you would also have to restart your Minecraft server for it to reload that sort of stuff. So here's that. Server.properties changed about the default port was for some reason changed to 0. Which I guess just signs it to a random port when the server starts. That's interesting. Okay, but I'd suggest just set it to 25585 because, well, or, you know, whatever. Set it to something constant, that way you can actually have services and stuff set up. You know, it's whatever. And this just talks about the rest of how the properties work. So that's what they did there, but here's why the problem is. So, in the last stream, I made this, which is, this is effectively a web page that allows you to directly interact with the protocol. Now, I have a server on the latest snapshot running here. You can see that we have the management server running on 25585. And there's also a secret. I open the inspector console here. See that when I try to join, I immediately get an error. Because, it actually is giving me an error now. Or, wait. Failed HTTP authentication. Nova. I swear I wasn't getting this before. But yeah, on the server console here, you'll see just connected and disconnected. And you'll see that there is a field for the server secret here. So if I just grab the server secret, I'm not showing it on screen right now because I'm lazy, not because I actually care. Because obviously this is just a random test server running locally on my machine. But there it is. It's pasted in. I made that a password field for some reason. I click connect and it just gives the same thing. Go to network here. Expand this a bit. See, it is just trying to do a WebSocket to that address. I have disabled SSL or whatever. Yeah, I wasn't seeing this message before. This is coming through. I actually don't know why this wasn't coming through before. But yeah, no valid credentials are available. That's kind of a problem. Actually, more importantly, what the problem is the way that they want to do the authentication. Oh yeah, also, hello there. A webcam has appeared. And, I'm not fixing the green screen. That's you're just gonna have to live with that, man. Yeah, you're just gonna have to live with that. Here, maybe if I you're not screwed. You deal with it. I'm not playing a game today, so it shouldn't be too big deal. But the way that they did this authentication is they made it so that with the initial HTTP opening to the WebSocket, a header named authorization must be supplied. And then they go into some specifications about about what the format of that is. But importantly, that is the only, and I mean the only way to get an to do this authentication, which is a problem because effectively custom headers like authorization cannot be set in a web browser's WebSocket implementation. Now, there's other ways that header information can be passed, or header type information can be passed, but those are not valid for authentication. The only way, and I've looked at the code to ensure this, the only way that the Minecraft server accepts an authentication is in the header named authentication. So it is just straight up impossible for this to work moving forward without first modding the server to skip the authentication check or checking for authentication in another way. So, that being stated, today we're going to move on to doing this whole authentication thing in a different way. In processing. Specifically, we're going to make a desktop app in processing to try to do what the website was doing. This is going to be way harder because I actually have to do all the UI things myself. So far, it's nothing. Oh, it popped up on the other monitor. It is a blank window. So much info. So I've done so much stuff. Also, exit here. Why am I overriding the exit function? We will get to that. Because we're going to have to be using WebSockets in processing, which is kind of a pain. Now, I've done a little bit of preparation. Why do I have so many processing windows open? Oh, because Skinny Man development stuff is open. Anyhow, that explains why everything was opening strangely. Alright. So, yeah, I've done some testing on how to use WebSockets in Java. It's kind of a strange system, honestly, but it's what's included with the JDK, so therefore I'm going to use it, because if I do end up implementing stuff so I can do stuff on Coolcraft remotely in the future, it will also have to be in Java. So, I figured might as well figure out how WebSockets work here and also make this stream easier. So, it is weird. So first we're going to make the WebSocket handler, then we're going to go start figuring out anything else. Also, another nice thing about using processing is processing has built-in JSON data types, or at least comes with classes for the various JSON data types, which is convenient for this situation. So we're going to need a new tab. We're going to name this, say, socket, or no, WebSocket .java. Gonna make sure this is as free as possible from any of processing's meddling. Gonna have to import a bunch of here. I'm just gonna plop all that in there. I feel like that's probably gonna be useful, so I'm gonna make public class WebSocket connection. So the constructor for this class is going to take a string for the IP address, an int for the port, another string for the authentication token, and a final boolean for boolean. And what are we importing? We are boolean for use TLS. Oh, and if you're wondering what TLS actually stands for, if you don't know, it stands for Transport Layer Security. That's what it stands for. It's pretty basic. So yeah, all this has an important thing, and the constructor will be responsible for initiating the connection. We're gonna have a private boolean and connected. It's false. public boolean is connected, return connected. Pretty simple stuff there. All right, then we're going to need to get our little WebSocket. So we're going to have a private WebSocket socket. We're going to call it WS. And WebSockets are kind of a pain to initialize, because you don't just create a new WebSocket, you need a freaking WebSocket builder, which is created like this. Actually, now I forget. Was there a different thing you had to do to get a HT or a TLS enabled WebSocket? It might just be you provide a WSS in the protocol, but I actually don't remember. Regardless. So this is our WebSocket builder. So WebSocket builder we use .header to set a connection header. I'm just going to copy this directly from my other thing because this is a thing. So our auth. So we set our authorization to the auth token. Now specifically, for some reason, don't know why, Minecraft is expecting that it is prepended with explicitly this, the word bearer, and then a space before the actual token. So we're going to just do that. So you'll only need to provide the actual token. Also, something I want to do for this is I want to just save the last connection credentials to a file. That way, specifically from when I'm developing this, going in and out, I just open it and click connect, and everything will be ready to go instead of having to re-enter the token each time, like I would have had to done on the website. Okay. And then some sort of exception is gonna, or we're gonna do try block. Catch any exe. Now any exception. I don't really particularly care what it is. Throw new runtime exe. New runtime exception. All right. Exception while. Ooh. How did I misspell that? Processing apparently didn't care, which is funny. Exception while WebSocket. All right. Oh gosh. So then this is going to be filled with this. So this is how we actually get the WebSocket. So we have a completable future. So we're going to take the WebSocket builder, and then and for some reason the only way to do this is asynchronously, but we just make it synchronous with this. Whatever. So it equals new, and then we have the new URI, and this is where things can get are going to get a little bit complicated. So first of all, we're going to use the conditional ternary to say use TLS question mark, and then the true condition is WSS : / the false is WS : / and WSS stands for WebSocket Secure versus just regular WebSocket, like HTTPS is Hypertext Transport Protocol Secure versus just Hypertext Transport Protocol. Whatever. Why is this? Handle WebSocket doesn't exist. Right. This is the next part that we're going to have to do, and this is a pain. But we'll get there. We're not done with this. So first of all, that's the protocol. Then we need the IPADDRE. Oh god. Or IPADDRE Then we add the IP address plus a slash. Or actually, no. The IP address, okay, if for some reason you need to connect to a subpath, which isn't a thing for the Minecraft server, but whatever, if you did, you'd also need to include in the IP address, which could also be a domain, to be clear. It doesn't need to just be an IP address, but for the sake of this, it's an IP address. Colon plus port. All right. Now what's this handle socket thing? Well, it turns out all the callbacks that the socket does, it will, well, actually, first of all, the way a WebSocket works in Java is it doesn't work like an actual socketed interface, like an actual socket, for instance. The way it works is rather stupid. It works more like it would in JavaScript than you'd expect. So there's no input or output streams that you can interact with directly like you would want to do in Java. Like literally every other I/O operation in Java, this is different. I'm sure there's an I/O stream somewhere under the hood, but you do not get access to it here. So the way you handle receiving information is through callbacks, which are all specified in this object here. Great. Just great. So yeah. That's what we gotta make now. So specifically, you got a WebSocket listener class. So here, all the way down at the bottom, I'm gonna make a class. I'm gonna name it handle WSocket. And then public handle WSocket. Oh wait, it's also got to implement WebSocket listener. Right, that's why it's still complaining up there. I was like, why is it still complaining? This is why. So now that's not going to complain. But actually, we don't need a default constructor. It doesn't need to do anything. It just needs to sit here, look pretty, and prepare to receive data. So, oh yeah, also what I'm probably going to want to do here is I'm probably going to want to have my own callback function be passed into the constructor, but we will deal with that later. For now, we need to actually put in all the various methods that this thing has that can be overridden. First of all, on text. This is where where actual data we care about is RECI. Now, also, something important to note about the way that this is implemented is, first, it doesn't give us access to the raw I/O streams, but second, it still doesn't give us a raw, easy-to-use output. Instead, it kind of gives us the raw TCP packet output in a way. So, if you don't know what I mean by that, the TCP packets are basically limited in size, and so when you send larger messages over a network, it'll just be automatically by hardware or software get chunked up into multiple bits that get reassembled at the other end. This effectively is for each of those bits, it'll just respond with each of those bits, which gets, then each of those bits calls this function independently. However, it does tell you when it's at the end by setting this last thing to true. So we actually gotta buffer the data that this has in some way until this is true, in which case then we can actually send that data out to our program as actually having been received. This is what makes WebSockets fun. Yeah, also, we also have to do this every time we receive something to let it know that, yes, you can go on. So stupid. Alright. The next one is on close. This one doesn't require us to modify a request, but alright, we're just gonna print that to system out there, and then connected, we're gonna set that to false. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, this gotta go in one. Alright, there we go. Alright, so there's that. On open and on air, I think are the only other two. There's technically the ability to receive binary and ping messages, but we don't have to worry about those because I don't think Minecraft actually cares about any of that. It only sends text and expects us to put in text. So we don't need that little thing there. Oh yeah, and also information is sent via the send text function. We will also abstract that. System.error.println WebSocket error. And we don't need this. So if any, actually the thing about this is that if any error occurs in any of these functions, this will catch it and then I guess allow us to process it. In this case, we're just going to print it, but that's an interesting note. If any of these, or I guess maybe this has something that doesn't get caught by this, it'll go to this. But this also doesn't necessarily mean that the socket has been closed. This one will call when the socket closed. But opened, that's where we'll have to say send connected to true. And then we'll also have this, which what this is going to do is this is going to send that discover thing. This is where it'll ask the server, hey, what do you have? And the server will respond with a big, long JSON file. But yeah, this should theoretically be the barest of minimums of stuff that we need. And I am therefore going to get this started. Oh, there is actually one more thing we gotta do. I need to public void close. And what this is going to do is going to ws.abort. I believe that's what we got to do. That calls abort on it. So here we're going to have a web socket connection socket, and then on exit, if socket not equal to null, and socket dot, let's see, oh, it should be is connected. Oh, it is connected. I do have that. Okay. So if it's not null and is connected, then socket dot close before we exit. That way we don't get a big long error on Minecraft's side of things saying, hey, this thing terminated unexpectedly. And for now we will just create the, we'll run the constructor in setup here. Eventually this will be on a button press because we'll have a user interface. It'll have here, enter your IP, your port, your authorization, all that. Socket equals new WebSocket connection, so we will go 127.0.0.1, otherwise known as localhost, 255.85 for the port. We will paste that in a moment, and false for TLS. Let me grab the token again. Bam, that's the token. And all of its textural glory, it's whatever. Again, just randomly generated for this test server. Alright, so now when we open this, see here, connection opened, and it did not immediately close. Now you'll notice that when I press escape here, it should, yep, automatically and correctly close. Okay, that's all good and stuff. So this is all working now. Now, actually, it did also send the RPC discover thing. So now let's work on returning that in some way. So, okay, we're gonna, for now we'll just have it print to the console. And later we'll have it do something else. But for this, we'll need a string buffer somewhere. In, I hope we don't have to import this because I don't know what package string buffer's in. Yeah, we'll just do this out in the, so we'll say private string, no, string buffers, builder, incoming DATA new strngbui builder. Okay, cool. So incoming data buffer. First thing we'll do is in here we'll do that append data.toString. I think that might be valid. If that's not valid, then what we have to do is we have to loop through every character in the char set because it's stupid. A string is technically a char set, but a char set is not necessarily a string, and toString doesn't always work on the char set because actually I think terminating characters might have something to do with it. So we may have to change this, but that's why we did a string builder. And then if last, then we take a string output equals this dot toString. Then we have import processing dot data JSON object. B should not be capitalized there. Okay, so we import that, then so we can use a JSON object. JSON equals O. New JSON object of output. Is that valid? JSON object is not visible. Okay, there is something that takes in. Is there a one for parsing? Dot parse. I know there is a way to do it. Parse does not exist. Well, I should say I know there's a way inside of the applet to do it. So these are all of the. Is there? I know there is a parse JSON. Yeah, there's parse JSON object, but this is a applet function. Yeah. Alright, I guess we might. It's probably okay. Oh, I gotta import. Yeah. Import processing dot core dot. Please tell me it's not a member function. Dang it, it's a... Why? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna look into the processing source code to see how I can generally parse a JSON object from a string outside of the actual applet context, because that is dumb. If it doesn't let you do that, that is so dumb. So dumb. I'd hate to have to get parse JSON object. We just need to. Okay, that's actually really simple. Okay, so what we actually need to do is say new JSON object of new string read. reader of output. I don't know what. Come to think about it, I do not know what a string reader or where the string reader class is. You know what? Here, I will look up where the string reader class is because I find it very necessary to do this. But yeah, apparently it just wants a string reader to be passed in. That's how JSON works, apparently. So, what is string reader under? Java IO string reader. Okay, that's pretty simple. All right. So, port java.io.stringreader. Shut up! I know it's not purely text that got pasted, but I frankly don't care. All right, so that's going to turn that into a JSON object, which we will then call this back to the main program here. But for now, we're just going to print this to the output console. All right, so now when I run this, we should see that, in fact, the entire discovery is print. Well, theoretically, it is obviously there's not enough console history to see the whole thing. It's that long. But yeah, the entire discovery document is here, which is good. So yeah, that's the receiving of various JSON stuff. So now we're going to have public void send, and this is going to be JSON object. I'm going to call this data. No, is there a way? It should probably be fine with there being, you know, line breaks and shit. Line breaks are valid JSON, and I think it's okay with all valid JSON. It doesn't have to be inline. So unless JSON RPC requires it to all be in one line. Hopefully it doesn't. Otherwise, I'll have to process it to remove all the line breaks, which anyhow. So we're gonna. So the send is going to be if not. Or if connected, then we're going to have ws.send text data.toString, I believe. And not send, what is it? Okay, the WebSocket also gets passed in for all of these, but I don't know how useful that is. It is send text. Oh, true. I have to add a true. Oh, and it's also a function. Duh. Not Python here, my guy. Okay. So there. I think this is also just to say, yeah, you're done with the message after it gets this bit, which should be if we're taking in a JSON object. Okay, I'll quickly add an interface in here. Interface, data callback, which is going to be a public interface. It's going to have one thing, or on data, which is going to take a JSON object, name it data, and for now that'll be it. Maybe I'll have it like also send on the WebSocket. Oh, void on data, duh. Because I don't care what happens with this stuff. All that matters is actually that you just get a JSON object out. The other logic will handle everything else from that point on. All right, so I'm gonna have a private data callback. Data destination. I will just call this callback, and we'll require it here. This is a functional interface on purpose. And then actually, so up here we'll do this first. Or this dot callback. And then oh, I have them flipped around. This one is supposed to be capital B. This one's not. All right, there we go. So that's that, and then once we come down here and incoming data buffer. Okay, here. So instead of printing this, which I apparently already got rid of. Well. We on data that, send in the JSON, and then we gotta clear the string buffer, or string builder. So clear thing there? Empty. Reset. Just create a new one. Let's do that because I don't know. Just reset it with a brand new string builder. That'll work. There we go. And then we reset that so that the next message can start coming in and adding on to a new string builder. That actually also did work by just doing a 2-string on that. Hopefully this doesn't stop working. I would be very sad if it did in the future. Also, one last thing. When connected is true, we don't want to immediately send that off here. We'll let this deal with it. False data to, for now, okay, semicolon. All right, so there, simple lambda expression there. I run this. Oh, it was running. Whatever. All right, nothing happens because we got rid of that. So then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to say so JSON object. Let's go final object discover we'll parse a JSON object, and it's gonna be this. We don't need that. Final int discover command and just say -666 for now for the actual ID of the discover command. There we go. Now that's perfectly modular. So what we're then going to do is in socket here, once that connects, and we're theoretically going to, actually here, I'm going to make sure that, here, if it's else, attempted to send we're just going to print out that. I'm pretty sure that this thing will block here until the socket connects, but socket.send the discover command. And there, look at that. It works. Haha. We've spent 40 minutes doing not much, quite frankly, not much. Basically just re-implementing things I'd already done. All right, with that, And speaking of that, I'm going to take a quick break to go to the bathroom, and then we'll get started on work on actual user interface to connect to the thing. Then we can work on handling any data responses. Woohoo! Where is that thing on OBS? Give me a moment here. Ah, there it is. I just realized my message there that I spent time opening is white on white. So that was kind of useless. Anyhow, now that we got something connecting and going here from processing, let's get some sort of user interface stuff going. And that means I'm going to want to copy a bunch of user interface stuff from Skinny Man over because, yeah, that's probably the easiest way to do stuff with already pre-made user interface crap. And I did not prepare for this, so I need to not show you what my computer looks like while I find the various user interface things I need from Skinny Man, which should just be the text box and buttons, but that also has some support classes to it. Okay. Button, and then everything else is down to the U's. Text box, frame, and button. Okay. Alright. That should be it. Hopefully I don't need anything else. Alright, so alright, here's all of our UI things. Which, oh, I gotta modify them, that's right. Because they do have the various Skinny Man references like serialization and shit. Which is of course completely unnecessary for this simple little project here. This simply just extends buttons, so nothing interesting there. Oh, everything else okay with these guys? Okay, everything else is okay. Alright then, so that was actually way easier than I expected. Okay, so we're gonna finally get into user interface stuff. We're gonna have a Boolean or connect actually no, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something more interesting. We're gonna have and a num. This is going to be called menu, which is going to be composed of start screen, connect CNN EC start screen, connecting, and manage. I was thinking like maybe the start screen should be called login, but I don't know. Now, how modular should I go with this? Should I give these all like properties for their, or should I give these like all different objects for their displaying and whatnot, or yeah, I'll probably just keep it simple and just go and draw and use these for their stuff. So then we have menu, current menu. Oh, it's gotta be menu. Menu.start screen. Alright, so nah, I'm not gonna use a switch statement, that looks ugly. But this needs an extra space. There we go. Why does this feel bad? That's why. So if current menu equals start screen, else if, and then we're just going to do that. All right. And then we're gonna need void mouse mouse.colon. I'm gonna have a mouse clicked function that is the same thing. So mouse clicked key pressed key release, because we have text boxes here, and void key typed, because typing and pressing are different operations that can have different things. All right, so that should be all we need. Background's going to stay fairly constant. So we're going to have a set. Okay, well, first of all, going to need to have a UI frame UI, which this socket stuff okay, so UI equals new UI a frame where we pass in this, comma. This will theoretically, maybe I should have also grabbed the UI text. I probably should have. Oh well. This will theoretically allow for scaling and resizability, which I'm not too concerned with. It's just easiest. It's just this is what my text box requires. So we got the UI frame there. And all that stuff's going to have to be initialized up here. But we need to create this. So, or UI text box. Start enter IP. Start enter IP, start enter port. Enter token. Those are the three text boxes we're going to have, and then I'll have a button there for the use TLS option. So, up here, yes, up here, UI dot, or, no, okay. I'm going to need to initialize all these things. And I will need to put some text on them as well. Oh, fun. I will go copy that. So new UI text box. I should make sure to get UI text here. Oh, wait. Let's make sure that UI is, or the UI frame is included for all of them, because they're all going to need that. Nope. All right, so now comes positioning stuff. Let's go 100x on both of them. Go 200, 300, 400 for their Y positions. So let's go make them all 600 long. 50 tall. And then what else does this require? That's it. That's all it requires, actually. And then theoretically these will be auto-populated with the saved server credentials, but for now we're just going to take all these and render them on the main screen here for now. Draw me a river. All right, and we will put in this stuff after we make sure stuff what? Who still requires the serial iterator? Oh, somewhere in you. Oh, right, you have that constructor. I don't know why that didn't pop over here and tell me, and why it was just like, oh, we'll stay here. Okay. They all say text here, which is great. Oh, I also got to set up other things like their allow listings and whatever. Whatever. I will actually can do that right now. So it's really important for this, actually. The other ones I don't so much as care because you can just enter a lot of stuff in there. Set allow list to be just the numbers because a port is numerical. But for all of them, I'm going to give them a placeholder text. That's what it's called, right? There's a lot of complex drawing that's involved in here. Through all the actual functionality, then we just got stuff. The text size, placeholder. Okay, set placeholder. So, pretty sure this is basically what it's called in HTML as well. Server address. Management server port and server SECR. Right? All right, that should perfect, and then we can actually give them functionality by doing this, deleting all this. Copying it again because we'll have to paste it. So mouse clicked. Mouse clicked. Key pressed. Key pressed. Released. All right, and then key typed is the last one. And this one I will copy paste because I don't need to paste that big block of text anymore. All right. Missing a semicolon, you say? Yes, I am. Okay, this version of processing clearly is not great for that whole semicolon thing. To be fair, I have tried a newer version of processing, and that just breaks some Java functions that it says doesn't exist. All right, that's pretty good there, and there. Nice thing about these text boxes is that they also do support copy-paste. So if I want to, I can... Actually, this is the main reason why I use them instead of... Well, I mean, it's way faster to use them. There, pasted it in. Look at that. They do support highlighting as well, but that is keyboard controlled only, like Minecraft was until recently, when they added the ability to use your mouse to do those things. But I don't mind too much. I mean, you can use the mouse to click around in here. I did not know you could do that while highlighting. Maybe that's a bit of an oversight, but whatever. But there's no other way to move on from here. Here, let me get the general text, resizable text component first. That way we can just add some labels, and then we'll move on to actually connecting to the server. Processing, la 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 la, skinny man, UI text. Hopefully this doesn't have any serialization shenanigans going on with it. Let's just make sure, run this, perfect. So now, wow, caps lock. UI text, start, key text, start port text, start token text. All right, and then these, initializing these actually can be a bit of a pain, admittedly. UI text, there's one constructor thankfully, but it takes the frame, what you actually want it to say, its position, the text size, and the alignment. So we're going to say new UI text, passing in the user interface, and we'll start string. Our server port. That one can be kept simple, and secret. The secret, by the way, is non-negotiable and modern in this new system. You actually have to include it. What was next? The X and Y position. Okay, well, actually, X, we'll just have that as 100. Yeah. Stop pressing the wrong button. Okay. That's what I did for all those. And then we got to do something a little bit. So we got to do like 175. 175. Actually, no. That's going to be 275 and 375 for all the Y positions. That was the hardest part, though. We'll go 40 with the text size. And then do left, center for their alignment. All right. I didn't tell it to draw. Let's actually draw them. Thankfully, these don't have any actual functionality outside of render, so we only need to stick them in the draw function, and then that will be that. Ooh. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. Do have to set their color ahead of time though, because otherwise it's just going to be set by something else. There we go. Server address, port, and secret, all above the text boxes. Now we need the connect button, which is going to be big and beneath all of those. So where are we? Here. Gonna have a UI button, connect button. There's going to be the use TLS. There will be the use TLS one, but for now I'll just hard code that to false because I'm not using that in the testing of this because that's complex. I would also probably want to have another one for trust all TLS certificates. because processing or Java by default, I think, gets a little bit pissy if it's not a trusted, it's not issued from a trusted authority. And I do know the syntax for this one pretty well. So 100 comma, let's go 500, 650 connect, and then I think that's all that is technically required of the button. So we draw the button. Yep, there's a big old connect button. But I think I do want to give it a little bit of color. This one. And C1 is probably the fill color. I think it goes fill stroke, so connect, so 255 comma, and then we're gonna choose, I don't know, purple color for highlighting. Why not? Just make it pop out and be different. Yep, there it goes. All right. So, and then that's a little bit more obvious that that's something that you can click to connect. So, I will actually spin up a parallel thread for this connection, actually. So we're gonna have void connect to server. We'll do that there because, yeah, so now when connect button on mouse clicked here, if connect button that is mouse over, first thing we do is we set current menu equal to menu.connecting. EONNECTING. So first thing we do is change the menu. Then we run the thread. Then we run the thread that actually does the connection. So while we're on this screen, we'll just say fill 25500. I don't know why I'm making this red. Text size, let's go 70. Text align center enter, and then text and place that at the center of the screen. Actually, let's do this now. So this won't actually do any sort of validation or whatever. Connect. Why is it not rendering any text? Oh fuck. I never did any of this right. All these else ifs do the same thing. Oh fuck. That's an oversight. Then manage is where we're actually gonna get managing shit. Oh, I've missed that one. Not that we're gonna realistically have too much going on in the mouse clicked on this section. I'm not really in the mood to make a cancel button. There it goes, connecting. So first thing here, we're gonna say try catch exception exec. Okay, over here we'll have somewhere in here where we catch an exception, which is very probably what could get thrown up here. So if that happens, we just say current menu, we reset the current menu back to the start screen for 1. eventually we'll have some sort of error text, and then we just need a print stack trace. All right, and that also we go ws dot close. So if it did for some reason, did it not? Oh, it's named socket here. So then we'll close. We'll make sure that if it did for some reason open, it does get closed properly. Great. So now what we do is we create the WebSocket here. Well, actually, we got to get the data to put in, but basically, yes, we create the WebSocket. So the IP is going to be enter IP .contents or get contents. Get contents. This is integer dot parse int. Integer parse int of enter port dot get contents, and then you know the drill here. This is this dot get contents, and then for now this is hard coded to false. Well, actually, we'll make a process. I realized that we are just going to basically hand that right off to this. Also, I know this will also process other things other than just responses. Any server notifications also come through here, but system.out.println, or just println, I guess. So for now, we're going to print the data, and this is where the actual handling will happen. So anyhow, so for now, that should initiate the connection there. And then once that occurs successfully, actually, we'll set the menu. We'll go into the management menu, and then when in that menu, we will check continuously if it's been disconnected, and if it has, that'll go back to the main menu, basically. So first of all, null pointer exception. Is this still running? No. It did actually break. Where did I get the null pointer exception? Number format exception for string la la la, which is here. But why did that crash the whole thing? That should have caught it here, and then oh wait, the socket would have been null. Duh. Here, let's do that. That's probably why it actually crashed, not because of this, but because of that. So yeah, now, if I try to connect, we just get that and everything's good. I should give these things default values. And actually, let's see what happens if I don't provide the secret at all. We get immediately rejected back here after attempts to connect. Okay. Exception while building WebSocket. Okay, that's my code throwing that one. WebSocket handshake exception. Check failed exception. Unexpected HTTP response code 401. Perfect. That actually did kick me out because it didn't have the secret or the thing in there correctly. Oh, I gotta DM. Whoa. Okay. Let's once again. Oh God, they updated the right-click menu in Notepad. Oh, Minecraft is unmuted apparently. Connect. Hey, we're connected. Actually, if I go over to the Minecraft server now and run save all, we get that notification coming through, which is something we'll have to deal with in the future. Wow. Okay, I am going to okay, that's just JRD cool. You know what? Here, why don't we? Well, I have to get headphones on. Okay, here, let me get headphones on, and then we'll talk Jaredy. Because why not? Also, I will silence Minecraft while I'm here because evidently I didn't do that earlier. Wait. That was the wrong Minecraft. Also, I hate Windows 11 settings because like it actively at all times shows the name and email associated with your Microsoft account. Unlike on Windows 10, where that only happened when you were on the main menu, now it's all the time. So I literally cannot show settings ever on stream anymore. Thanks, Michael Shaft. Alright, and we get the headphones working so that I can theoretically hear computer audio. Alright, let's join.
Let's go to Ollie.
Hello, you are on the air.
Who wants this dog? Thanks, Ollie.
So.
Hello, how is live?
It's okay, you know, I'm doing a thing where I'm making a new thing to interact with the Minecraft server management because they broke my old one. Let's see, where was I? Alright, the actual part where we just got connected. What do we do next? Well, I guess if for some reason we end up not being connected, we go back to the main menu. So let's do that. So if socket is not, so if not, socket that is connec connected. Oh. Then we set the menu back to the main menu.
This shit.
Sounds great. Alright, and I'm not going to test that because why would that be broken? Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to issue the discover command immediately upon stuff going on. So we'll do that immediately. Actually, we'll do that before we change the menu. So socket dot send discover command. Alright, so that'll send that. Yeah, I think it just, hang on, let me see. What?
Project 127 giving me stuck GTA 5 clients.
Oh, okay. For a second there, I thought my phone just sent me a Discord notification that I'd already marked as read from 3 hours ago, but no, there was a Twitch notification that came through. Alright. That was weird. Anyhow. So actually here, so we'll have so if not data dot is null of ID. So if that's not null, then ID equals data dot get int ID. Perfect. And then, so now that we got that, if ID is equal to the discover command ID, then we'll do something. Then we'll say it's the discovery array. So this is where we're gonna have to build out that list of commands and stuff because actually for now what we'll do is we'll actually save JSON object alright, so for now we'll do that and then it'll print it as usual just so that we know we got it. Here, let me set default credentials for some of this stuff. For now, set contents to be 127.0.0.1 And I'll not do the token for now because that's kind of less useful. Or that's something I just can't be bothered now because there's no good default value for that. All right, cool. And then copy that from Notepad, paste it in there. It's connected. We have the discovery there, and now here, let me just make sure I don't show anything bad in File Explorer while I go find the file and open it. For now, we'll open it with Notepad because I don't want to show Notepad++ for now. Okay. Here we are, discovery.json. So this is the full discovery here. And it's kind of different from how the browser displays this. So first of all, schemas, also the way that processing's JSON library packs this stuff, where I would expect that to be more like that, it doesn't. So schemas comes first for some reason, which is fine. I will have to build the whole thing to parse all this stuff out. But yeah, ID is right there. It should have got that correctly. I mean, it did because it printed this whole thing out. Right? But yeah, then beneath the schemas, we have all the different methods here. But the problem... Oh no, it is just a JSON array. Right? Here, let me find... It formats stuff weirdly, which is why I'm... Here, there's a lot of references. I don't know, there are a lot of references to begin with. Yeah, here's a bunch of descriptions and stuff. Okay. Oh, there it is. It literally was right. Okay, methods. Is this at the root? I don't remember. But yeah, methods, which is an array of objects. So we'll have to go through these to parse all of the relevant stuff out. And actually, I will be making objects for all this, which I guess is what we're going to do today. We're going to get the various related stuff in a very malleable format. The name, and for now, we're going to parse the name and description, but other things will be parsed in the future. So yeah, okay. So it should, oh, it's under results. So here, we'll put a object discovery. It's going to be equal, or discovery here, and discovery is going to be equal to in here. Discovery equals data.get JSON object named result. Right. All right. So that's where our discovery is going to be. Then parse the discovery tree, which I guess is going to have to be its own function. So first of all, we're going to create a new tab here. This is going to be named server method. THO method. Class server method, which is going to first of all processing data star. For now, we're just going to import everything from. That's not how PROCSSIN. Definitely was not how you spelled processing. All right, and this is going to take in a JSON object called raw method, and we'll do stuff with that in a moment. For now, I'm going to make parse discovery. This will end up creating an array list of server methods. Yeah. So what we're gonna do then? We'll use this. All right. So we're gonna have a JSON array. JSON methods equals discovery dot get JSON array. I'm gonna just put Notepad on my other monitor here. Control F. Yeah. So we're gonna get the JSON array methods. And okay, so that's one array of things that we're going to need here. And then the other one is the schema, which is a little bit more annoying because that is schemas. Oh, schemas is stupid. That's a JSON object. So components. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to give it the raw schemas because when we're dereferencing the various encoded schemas, that contains the raw JSON path from the root of discovery. So we're going to need to just do it like that, I guess. Okay. So methods. Okay, so then for okay, okay, here we're gonna create an array list. Array list of server met server methods. So we're gonna do that. And then server me methods dot clear. And for int 0, yes, Jared.
Nothing.
Okay.
Actually, nothing even. I'm probably gonna do more Trevor %.
All right, cool. So we're gonna loop through all of these, and then we're going to simply server methods dot add new server well, I'm gonna have to invent scrolling in order to make yeah, probably gonna have to invent scrolling. Server MEG. New server method of yes. Right. JSON methods dot get I. Or dot get JSON object I. Alright, and then that will go through just doing the parsing for each one of these. And actually one more at the end, we're gonna print the server methods array, which means we're gonna need a toString function here. So parse the discovery tree, blah blah blah, parse discovery. Alright, so for now we're gonna have a string DSC or IP description. So method name equals one method dot get a string which it's just going to be called name. Yes, that's what it's called. And then description equals basically the same thing, but with description this time. Sorry if I've been quiet here, folks. I'm thinking what's going on here because we are doing some parsing. All right, so then public string to string name colon plus So just the name and description pairs. Oh, no, that's what it's returning. What am I doing? Oh, and of course do that. All right, so now I should properly close this by pressing escape on there. Now we run this. Recopy that. Okay, I'm going to make it save these credentials after a connection is made so that I don't have to enter that every time. Right. Crap. Stop just generally... Here, we'll just only print the raw data if it's actually necessary. Otherwise, you know, don't. That way we can see this raw vomit of all the method names and description. I'm gonna, you know what? Here, let me close this. So we're gonna add a line return at the end of that. That way each one goes on a separate line. It's slightly easier to see what's going on. So, okay, so now I'm gonna go add that saving your credentials shit. There's a lot of commas at the beginning of lines, but whatever. That's just how that's just how the array list formats and stuff. But yeah, so here you can see all of the messages and their descriptions. So like game rule changes and all that sort of crap. Up here it's at least a little bit more get the server's default game, but you know, that sort of thing. We'll figure out how we're going to display all this stuff in a moment. Discovery, comma, stored credentials. So right around here, before I start setting their contents, so right here, this equals load JSON object creds.json. Then if this not equal to null, because it can just return null if it doesn't get anything, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna have this dot get string of IP. So be dot get int of port. We gotta make that into string, and then this one we're gonna have to do token. All right, so then the saving comes the other way around. So after a successful connection here, we set that. We go to stored credentials. So after that, we store credentials dot set string IP to that, and then we'll just token is this one, port is this slightly different one, set int, that's not a capital I. All right, and then save JSON object stored credentials, comma creds.json, not reds, creds.json. All right, semicolon. All right, so now I'll load this. Yep, that's fine. 127, 2 by 585. And that is not at all what I needed on the clipboard, so we copy from Notepad over there, paste there, click connect. That failed. Why did that fail? Oh. Okay, well, that was the dumbest reason for that to fail, all right? I will say that right now. Just use the clipboard history for that. There we go. Now I close that, go again. Everything's already pre-populated. Let's go. I'm a genius. We have gotten nothing displayed in this entire time. That is brilliant. All right, so what we're gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? Let's get this UI going. So, or yeah, get some sort of user interface going. So actually, we're gonna need to pass. I'm gonna change this, not this one, to take the UI frame as well. And we're just gonna pass that in there, because this is going to allow us to create a button. But where? We're gonna need more information for that, aren't we? Private UI button. Woo, I'm imaginative. But might have to switch to a 3D renderer or to OpenGL to use the camera function so I can move crap around. That might be a good idea. Because this stuff is going to go off the screen very quickly. So button equals new UI button. UI 50. Now we're just going to say 10, but that needs to be adjusted. 250. 40. Method name, and that should be that. Public void draw. Button.draw. There we go. And now we need index 10 plus 45 times on index. So now we need to also just straight up pass I in there so that I can do stuff. And then what we're going to do is we're going to render them all in the draw function. So actually, no, we'll use an enhanced for loop here, I guess, because why not? SM in server methods. Draw the current server method. All right. So we connect, get a concurrent modification exception because right. Okay, so what we're gonna do to fix this, we're gonna have a Boolean discovery ready. So now we're only gonna draw. Only gonna draw this if discovery is ready. And then so process response or parse discovery ready equals false here in case it comes back again. True once we get past that. All right, so now this should work. And here's just a big ass list. We can't even we don't have any sort of scroll bar, so we can't even see down to the bottom of it. A big ass list displayed for our viewing pleasure of all the different things. Eventually, what these buttons will do is you'll click on them, and then they'll prepare the form that you're gonna be able to fill out to send stuff to the server. But that obviously is probably going to be a little bit after this stream is done. So yeah, I guess scrolling now, I guess. So we're going to need an int to store that scroll value. This is 0. Oh, right. Scroll value is nothing or 0, and then when we're gonna take here, I'm pretty sure the camera command's unusable right now, but whatever, I'll figure it out. Camera. So what was it? Do I still have the reference open? Oh, I do. Great. Camera. All right. So it is. Wait. So doesn't say his function is in OpenGL, but it first clears the current camera settings. Okay. The default values are kind of dumb for the camera. And the way, this is how it's default defined here. So we're gonna copy this and paste this in here because this is technically correct. The best kind of correct. But what we're going to do is, after I figure out which one is, well, actually, we just got to modify the height on both of these to make it. So we're gonna say subtract the. Yes, subtract scroll value from both of those. That is the wrong position to do that. That'll just change my. That'll do weird stuff. So subtract scroll value from both of those, and this probably won't work because we're using. Yeah, we need to use P2D. All right, and that means I'm gonna want to enable key repeat. That's fun. So shouldn't change too much. That is not the right thing. I meant to do that up here. P2D, and then hint in enable underscore key underscore repeat. That should make everything function properly. Apart from the fact that I forget how the OpenGL renderers do font. So the first thing we need to do, text, not up there, probably after size. Because the way my buttons work is they start by just like increasing the text size until it's like the perfect size, basically. To fit the button, which means they start at a low size. And the way the OpenGL renderer works is it'll generate the text, the actual like glyphs for the font, the first time a text is drawn or the size is called for. But that's going to be at perfect resolution for that. So as you get bigger or smaller, it's going to have to scale. And that's kind of a problem when you start small and scale up to anything, because it's like 0 pixels to, you know, you get it. You saw what happens. Anyhow. Alright. Camera's not available. Really? It's only available for full 3D? Oh yeah. Also, here's how those buttons work. They will fill the space. Which does make this look a little bit ridiculous when all the buttons are filled to the max with all the things, but it means it'll all fit. I might want to change this in the future, but for now it's fine. Alright, apparently we gotta go 3D. Alright, this is gonna be rendered in 3D, guys. Woo! And it shouldn't change anything. Now I gotta do the mouse scrolling. So, event mouse wheel. That's it. This is a stupid function definition, honestly, but so ease event does get kept. So okay, we'll start by just printing that. There we go. Perfect. Scrolling down is increasing by 1. Scrolling up is decreasing by 1. That is what I want. So, we're not going to print it. Instead, we're going to say if we are on the management menu, then we're gonna have to okay, so hang on, let's do int new scroll value is equal, because we gotta bounds check this shit. Scroll value plus e times 10. Also interrupt this whole thing because reasons. So I'm going to bounds check this if new scroll value is greater than 0 and new scroll value is less than size times, what was the height of these things, like 40? We'll do like, yeah, we'll say 40 plus an additional 100. That, or that plus value is going to definitely change in the future. Then scroll value is equal to new scroll value. Alright, so if it's within that range, then we can scroll. Otherwise, we don't scroll. So we connect, and I have it backwards. I can go as far as I want that way. -10 then. That also seems like an okay scrolling speed, I guess. So maybe, wait, why is, oh, so we're gonna change this a little bit. So we're gonna have to flip the signs, I guess. So as long as it's less than 0 but greater than that being, I guess, the minimum value. Okay. Oh. Hang on, that doesn't look right. Oh, wow, these buttons should be wider. Yeah, I think it should also be scrolling faster, definitely. Okay, so let's double that speed and make those buttons wider. So 250, let's do 100 wider, 350. Alright, those are definitely wider. Some of them, like this one, don't even make it to the end anymore. Yeah, alright. So now the big thing with this is we will have to... This feels like this need... What is... Hang on, let me print the scroll value after each of these. Okay, so there's a little bit of space at the top there. Oh. Should be print line, not... Should it be greater than or equal to? It probably should be, or less than equal to 0, because it will actually hit 0. Alright, that's it, yeah. But yeah, that feels like a functional scrolling system right there. The text size might be a little bit annoying. Having different sizes does kind of... The buttons are working against me here, right? Maybe I should find... Well, okay, and then you still have these ones that are ridiculously small and should be bigger. So here, we'll give it an extra 15 width. And then we'll move on to other stuff. Like putting the description next to it. No automatic text wrapping though, so I kind of wonder how bad that'll go. So here. Still think they're still getting a little bit small and potentially annoying with text size here. We'll just... Alright, well that's good enough, I guess. Okay, we don't need to print that anymore. Shut up. Alright, now we gotta display their description. So then text text align, left center that. Oh wait, no. We don't do this here. Duh. We do this within the method, yeah, right here. So, oh, what is it called? Is it get source? So UI.getSource.not.io. User interface. Excuse me. Ow. You know, private, graphics. You know what? We'll just do this. And of course, we're going to need to import processing dot core all. So then I'm going to set this here to render equal, or should I just do this as a whatever. UI.getSource.g. So then we can just say Applet center, applet left, applet center. That's right. That's what we have to do for that. So render text size. We're gonna size this to like 30. Render fill 0, and then render text the description at 470 and int w equals, or mid y. So then plus an additional 20 for the half that. Wait, what did I do? Text size 30? Okay. So that and that can go to the mid y. Alright, so what does this look like now? Connect. Yeah, a lot of these are going off. So I think we need to make that text size like 20. This also is not going to be UI scalable. So to be fair, the scrolling isn't also not set to scale with the UI, so this is just not designed to be resized, really. The force allow, get whether the allow list enforcement kick is enabled. Kicks players immediately when removed from allow list. Oh, interestingly. Oh, yeah, they must have. I never read that before. Okay, interesting. That's interesting what that actually does. I had no idea that's what enforce whitelist. When are they going to rename that to whitelist? Seriously, when are they going to do that? I do not think they're keeping that. See the allow list enforcement when enabled players kicked. Get whether the allow list enforcement is enabled. Yeah, so he's just the get and the set of all the things. Okay, for the most part, I think these descriptions are okay. Now, when you click their buttons, we're gonna need a new function for this. Void setup command Actually, so this is what. Actually, I'm gonna need to go have the actual server method parse its own arguments first. Then we'll figure out how this works. Or yeah, parse its parameters. But yeah, so. I was just blanking right there on what I'm doing. Okay, so we go through this, go here. So if discovery is ready, and then if sm.isMouseOver. For now, actually, we're just gonna println. Oh. You know what? We're just gonna forward this to its button. So public boolean So that's just going to forward that down to the button. So just for a simple test of how this works, bands add, but now we scroll, we click, and that's certainly not what we're over because I never adjusted the mouse Y. So First of all, we'll try subtracting the scroll value. If that doesn't work right, well, then we add it. And this should be it, theoretically, to make the scrolling work with the mouse here. So, difficulty set. Force allow list. Oh! Yeah, that is what I'm clicking on. Cool! For a second there I thought it wasn't working, but for some reason there's sometimes a noticeable delay between me clicking and when it actually... That is strange. Very strange. Whatever. I guess it's gotta check all the buttons before it. Whatever. It does not need to be particularly responsive. This isn't like it's an actual game. This is just, you know, something that does stuff when you click on it. Great me. Great job, me. I'm describing it well. So next we need to figure out how are the parameters being parsed. And this, I don't know if I want to do this today. I might want to do this another day because this was a pain to get working in JavaScript. And there we don't have a rigid type system. Here we do. But the rigid type system here means that I will actually have to spend time making the subclasses and stuff and parsing this all into stuff. So I think I'm gonna, considering we're about to hit or and getting close to that 2-hour mark, I think I'm gonna kind of end this here then, because oh boy, this is getting to be some complicated shit. Yeah, we don't have too much yet. We've got the start of something to replace the great website. I'm sure the snapshot this week will change something. Maybe it'll actually fix that bug, because actually there is a bug that I found in this. So if we say kick or players slash kick. So here's the method for kick. You see here how it takes a kick player schema, but it doesn't just take that, it takes an array of those. Well, if we go to the kick player, well, you know, actually what the kick player schema is doesn't technically matter. The actual schema itself strangely takes an array of players and also the message. It is a little bit weird that an array, the kick command accepts an array of these and then an array of players within that, but actually it doesn't. It doesn't want an array of these, it just wants one of these whole things. I reported that as a bug. Here, let me go find that quickly. Let's go to Minecraft issue tracker. This slow site that looks completely mamage. The site looks completely different when you sign in, which is very, very confusing and not at all weird. Because instead of being this like side issue list, so now it's all centered. There's like an image at the top. It's so weird how it all of a sudden looks after you sign in. And also, this is obviously an incognito tab, or a guest browser, so I'm not going to do the sign in. See how long this shit takes? Like, how is this better? I don't know how that. Sometimes managing misleading description for operator user permission levels and server management protocol documentation. Description for that is misleading. Correct. Get the permission level required. This is clearly not true, as the required permission level depends on the command being executed. Instead, this option changes the default permission level. Oh, yeah, no, that is misleading. Oh, here it is, mine. MC 301735. Tell it's mine, because I put my own username in this. So, yeah, I mean, there are 4 people who voted this. If you yourself find that this is bugging you, and it hasn't yet been fixed, because it's currently unconfirmed and unassigned, then please upvote it. 3 other people other than me clearly thought that this was a good issue to have or is an actual issue. But yeah, hopefully they fix this, because there were some other ones that they fixed. Like they did change something with like the ban one, for instance. It was reporting to use the raw schema instead of the ban player schema. It was just the player schema. So, yeah. Upvote this, and I'm gonna say that's the end of the stream today. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like on the stream on your way out. Also, please remember to subscribe to the channel. Check out my game, which I also develop sometimes. That is linked in the description, and I will see you all in the next live stream video thing, whatever.